You are listening to ChartingWealth.com for Friday, the 5th of May, 2017. We see that stocks are up for the day, bonds and gold down. We look at the weekly chart. What do we see? Well, the weekly vertical crossover still in play, has not crossed over yet on the S&P 500 going up. Derivative oscillator is losing energy on the weekly chart, and we have 2 weeks of upward movement. We had a 2-day vertical crossover occur as we go to our 2-day chart. That occurred back on the 27th. That is the 2-day chart ending the 27th of April. And what do we see going on? Well, it's been going on for quite a while. The 2-day chart ending on the 25th of April hit a point of about $239 or so, $239. And we have seen things hang around there, going on now for the, what is this, the 1, 2, 3, for the 5th 2-day candle. So it is extremely interesting. It's only the first day of the latest 2-day candle. It will end tomorrow. But again, up 0.12% for the day, but we're still hanging around the same mark. Are we topping out? Don't know. Remember, all things being equal, the market always tends to move in the direction of the largest chart, and that largest chart is the weekly chart, which is still in a confirmed down move. So just pay attention. The bias is for a downward move. 2 weeks of up movement don't mean that the market is headed up in a trajectory forever and ever. So pay attention to where we see things topping out on that 2-day chart. Perhaps it could generate and go through the roof tomorrow, but remember, we are trend followers and we do not have a trade right now because we are down on the weekly chart, up on the 2-day. So we don't like to hang around and watch that 2-day chart take off, because at some point that 2-day chart's going to be strong enough to drag that weekly chart over, correct? So we want the 2-day and the weekly ideally to be moving in the same directions. There are reasons now when it's a very weak 2-day chart that you might want to stay in, or if the market's been slipping sideways and even though the 2-day chart flipped, it would go anyway, because it could go either way, simply because the MACD is not good in a sideways slipping market. But we don't have that. We have a market that's moving up. Again, just some, and I said MACD, the PPO. Remember, the MACD and the PPO are calculated very similar. And if you want more education on what the PPO is and how it works, we have a great new training. It's been out of maybe 3 weeks. If you'll go to ChartingWealth.com. Let's keep pushing through these charts. We go to the weekly on the Qs, which, remember, we had that weekly vertical crossover occur for the week ending the 28th, last Friday. And what has it done? Well, it's continued to boom upwards, up not a whole lot for the day, 0.04% on the first day of this latest we're looking at the weekly chart right now. We're going to go to the 2-day candle in just a minute. But a week of lots of up movement. So we're continuing to see that build. We've also seen over the course of this week, we've seen the derivative oscillator flip from negative to positive. So we'll see how the week ends up on Friday. Let's take a look at the 2-day chart. Of course, we had that 2-day chart move over going up right before the following day when we had a closeout in the week on the 28th of April, where we had the weekly vertical crossover. And we have basically 1, 2, 3, 4, you could call it 5 up green candles. But the latest candle for the day is a red open box with a wick on top. What's that telling us? Well, derivative oscillators continue to move up. We can see that the PPO is not moving up as much as it was in the prior 2-day candle that ended on the 3rd. It's leveled out a little more for this first day of the latest 2-day candle. And again, we're sort of seeing a topping off point where we had the highest high. We've topped out there just around, let's see, what kind of dollar amount are we talking about? Somewhere around 137.50, and it's hit its head there for the last, 5 days, 2.5 2-day candles, so 5 days. So we'll continue to pay attention to that. Is it topping out? Don't know. We'll continue to watch that. Now, Don't forget, of course, we do have our weekly chart is still in a confirmed uptrend, and our 2-day chart is a confirmed uptrend. So we're still in a confirmed uptrend. We jumped in on Monday of this past week at 10:30 a.m. right after Idiot Hour ended. And in fact, I'm going to do a training on Idiot Hour. We talk about it a lot and always get questions and explain it. Market makers in charge those first minutes in the morning and can do a whole lot of things. And once the market settles out, the market makers settle down, then we can really get an idea as to where the market's moving. That's why we wait until at least 10:30 before we jump in. And we did this last Monday, and so far things have been going quite well with the weekly vertical crossover entry point. You don't know what weekly vertical crossovers are? Again, Charting Wealth, go to the training. We've got a great training there that we did pretty recently on vertical crossovers. Now let's keep moving through the market. We're going to next go to TLT, down about 0.5%, 0.49% for the day. Of course, we're still in a weekly up move all the way back. Oh my word, all the way back when the 3rd of February is when that originally occurred. And of course, we had some up movement, some down movement, lots of good up movement starting on the 24th of let's see, that was March, all the way through April, right toward the end of April. In the last 2 weeks, we've had some down moves, so we are continuing to watch this. Of course, we had a 2-day crossover going down. That occurred on TLT back on the 1st of May. And we are going to have to redraw our trend line. Again, we like to connect 3 candles, and we're not quite going to be able to do that. Again, this is just the first day of the latest candle, so we'll see how it ends up drawing. But we have continued down movements on those, and with the schizophrenia between the weekly chart moving up and the 2-day chart moving down, we do not have a trade at this point when it comes to TLT. So we'll continue to watch and see, is the down movement going to be enough to drag over the weekly, or is the 2-day going to bounce back over and start moving back up in the same direction? If it does, we can look at a good entry point at that point. Now let's keep moving through these charts. Lastly, we have, for your viewing pleasure, gold down 1.01%. Big down day on gold. Look at that weekly chart. It's really crossing over. It's not crossed yet, but it's really moving down. That'd be better words to use. Really, really moving down toward that signal line. Derivative oscillators losing energy, but the price percent oscillator is really moving down quickly. So could we have a crossover at the end of the week? Probably not, unless it really slams down again. Went down a whole bunch with that candle, with the wick that we see at the bottom, but then of course it recovered. So we'll just wait and see what's going on with gold. It is interesting to see gold and bonds down to this extent, and we'll just keep our eye. Now don't forget, what do we always talk about with gold? We like to look at that 4-hour chart. And I'm telling you, my friends, that 4-hour chart, if you'd have followed that chart and jumped in when it crossed over at that opening, after the crossover was confirmed, even if you went on to that next candle at the opening at noon on Thursday, the 20th of April, we're looking at an opening, and that's even lower than where we were on the prior candle, with a down move at 122.03 all the way down to 116.90. So in fact, the total down, about 116.90. That's a lot of down movement over just a few days. And again, this 4-hour chart just works wonderfully for us. Keep that in mind. Those of you who didn't jump into that, I want you to practice when it rotates back around, particularly if we're still in a weekly up trade, which we may not be, a weekly vertical crossover, we may not be at that point. But that's always when things work out the best, when you jump in and you've got the weekly moving in the same direction, particularly of that 4-hour chart. It just makes for great, great jumping in points, and you have that weekly trend moving with you. So again, it's just a little different on gold. And you know what, folks? We do what works when we trend follow. And for some reason, that 4-hour chart in gold, our 4-hour chart is amazing. Those of you who've been with us a long time, you've seen it over and over and over again. If you just look at our charts, it is incredible. If you don't have our charts, here's how you get them along with the recordings that we do every day. You also get our weekly market worksheet, our daily market worksheet, the layout that we use at freestockcharts.com, and how to get freestockcharts.com. Everything you need, along with how to read a stock chart video. Send you a link to that too. And guess what we're about to upload for you? A trader worksheet, so that when you do your practice trades, you can track them, keep up with what you learn and what you're thinking throughout the course of the trade. You need to look at your show notes for that, or if you get the email, it'll be in the notes. With the email, it'll be right there where you see the links to the daily and the weekly market worksheets. Hey folks, all of this is for free. We provide it. We're not out here selling you anything. We are here to help you. Thank you, my friends. We love to hear from you. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also go to iTunes and subscribe to us there. Say something nice about us. Give us a 5-star rating. You guys have made us in the top, 4, 5, or 6 when it comes to stock charts, stock trading, stock market, and we thank you so much for that, making us that big in the world. God bless. Take care, my friends, from chartingwealth.com.